Shit. All right, everybody. Happy Friday, beloveds, and welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for those of you who are in the chat or who will be joining us tonight in the audience. I am super excited. Again, happy Friday. Happy February 23rd, 2024. Let me cue up my music here as we go along. I am excited about my guest today, a fellow social worker. She's not new to this channel, but I just so adore her. And I look forward to our conversation tonight. And feel free to join in the conversation with us, right? So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest, but I'm going to introduce her first, her proper introduction, as we're celebrating Black History Month, and I am celebrating Black women who are making history, and this wonderful sister is no exception. We want to salute her and give her flowers today and hear how wonderful and what she's doing in our community. And if you're new here, I am Danny. I am a social worker and an aromatherapist where I marry the two, right? To bring you information to enhance our overall quality of life and well-being. So again, welcome everybody. Say hello in the chat when you get here. So excited to see you. So getting to our guest, Miss Marissa Price, MSW, is a multi-passionate social worker dedicated to supporting Black women on their journey to freedom and well-being. With her unique background spanning from banking and mental health advocacy, right? Having recently exited a toxic job in economic development. She now assists Black women with building digital businesses and healing from toxic work environments and systematic oppression. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on, as we celebrate this day, our wonderful sister, Marissa Price. Yay! Welcome!
Hey, y'all. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Welcome, my sister. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I am honored. I just had to say that. I am honored when I saw this request come through. So thank you so much.
Oh, it is my absolute pleasure. It is my honor, sister, to have you on and just to know you, right? Like I mentioned, you're a fellow social worker, and I'm super excited when I first saw you. I don't know whose platform I saw you on. I want to say it was Dr. Kamani's platform. I was like, a fellow social work sister. We got to connect.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
In this space, and I'm just so excited to honor you and talk to you tonight about what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Which is unique, which I haven't seen it. I don't know how many of you have seen it, right? That you're helping Black women. We'll get into that. To pivot from the work environment into your own business virtually, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which leads me, I'm going to get into the discussion tonight. So can you share more about your journey as a multi-passionate social worker and how, like, your background in banking and mental health advocacy, like we mentioned, has shaped your approach to supporting Black women?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this question, and actually it reminded me of where I started. So in college, I majored in finance and African American studies.
Okay.
So I have like a basis in understanding Black history, right? Understanding our roots in a US context. So I brought that with me into banking. And I worked at the Federal Reserve Bank as a financial analyst. And I transitioned to more of like the community development side of things. And the Fed had put out a report on Black women business owners. I think it's called Black Women Business Startups, but it was like a comprehensive research report on the unique challenges and strengths as well. Like coming from the social work field, strength space is very important, that Black women entrepreneurs face. And so I read this report. I was very inspired by it, ended up transitioning into the community development realm of banking. And that was really the impetus for my transition.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was in social work school, right, concentrating in economic development, I had a chance to intern back at the Federal Reserve, and I was doing research on Black women entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
specifically micro business owners, which is entrepreneurs who have less than 10 employees. Um,
Okay.
so I was doing research on like policies that could be helpful for micro business owners, specifically Black women. So that is the background that I have, really kind of meshing Black studies, Black history, incorporating it into finance, right?
Okay.
Bringing my finance skills that I accumulated in the banking field, and really creating my own business, right? Free Black Woman Virtual Solutions, which is a business I launched last year on International Women's Day, helping, being a virtual assistant, kind of tiptoeing into strategy work around how to create and build and grow online businesses, because it's kind of a gateway to get free of a lot of these toxic environments, which is what I found myself in the banking world, in economic development, right? Leading a strategy, um, a racial equity strategy. And the job ended up being very detrimental to my health. So I had to kind of make that pivot, which
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah.
But hoping to share knowledge and resources of the things that I've gained in my academic career, in the banking world, with Black women, so that we can build businesses that feel good, right? They
Yes.
don't have to adhere to like the traditional model of entrepreneurship that we see.
Right.
And yeah, to get free of these toxic work environments.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. We're going to dive a little bit more into this. Thank you for sharing that. I just want to say hello to
yeah.
some people who are in the chat. Tea Time Beauty, thank you so very much for leaving that. H&D Abroad, we ready? All
Hey.
right, we ready. And Case Mobile Notary, thank you for being here, dear. Yay.
Yes, I
Oh,
love it.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, which leads me into my next question of, um, you are designing what you would consider a safe space for Black women, right? For us to
Yes.
come together, support one another in businesses, and learn and grow together, right?
Yes.
And so, again, your platform is described as a safe space for Black women to share experiences and observations. How do you ensure this space fosters healing, and what motivated you to create it? You touched on it somewhat, but what motivated you
Hmm.
to create it the way that it is set up now?
Yeah, I think researching the unique challenges. So I think that was like the first part. And also like being a Black woman in the business space, coming from the finance world, right? Being the only Black person, Black woman in a lot of my finance classes, in the
Mm,
business school, in so many of my classes, and understanding the impacts that had on me,
okay.
and realizing that we don't have a lot of representation in these spaces. So how can I create like a safe space for us to learn and share resources, share knowledge? And it doesn't have to feel like, I know the term even business kind of like evokes some feelings of anxiety in
Mm-hmm.
people just hearing that. But it's kind of going back to, exchanging goods and services. That's how I view it. Even prior to like the capitalist system being invented, right? Because it hasn't been around that long in the course of history. So it's like going back to how things used to be done,
Mm-hmm.
getting back to that, exchanging, right, freely, not really having that pressure that you have to have everything figured out, and everyone's looking at you like you better know this. Like, no, it's a safe space to learn, to grow, to heal. Because again, a lot of us are coming from very toxic work environments into entrepreneurship and not really having a period to heal and regroup. I know that was the case for me. Um, so I want to create like, a safe healing space, kind of incorporating my social work skills as well, and just facilitating that and making sure we are able to share our stories and learn from each other and grow. Yeah.
Which is absolutely wonderful. I love being in spaces where you can support one another. Ain't no threat. It is not like, oh, I can't
No.
share with you, or I can't talk to you because you in business, or we're in the same space in business. It is more than
Yes.
enough to go around,
Yeah.
you know.
That's so important. That's so important. Yeah, like the collaboration too, right? That's key because, again, coming from the traditional business world, it's like you're taught competition at every turn. Like, what can I do to one up the person next to me? And it's like taking that and flipping on its head, right? Even being on YouTube, we collaborate with each other. We share knowledge. It's pushing back against what we're told that business has to be, and really sharing knowledge with each other so that we can all grow, because there's room for all of us. And in fact, all of our voices and our ideas are needed in this space. So yeah, I love that collaboration.
Yes, I love
Yes.
the sisterhood collaboration. It's nothing like it. And the expression is we are better together, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
And so when you have that sort of spirit about you, you connect to other people who, you know, you learn from and you grow from and you grow together, which is absolutely
Yes.
beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that. So moving on, and speaking of the safe space and healing and freedom. So you assist Black women, we've established that, in building digital businesses and healing from toxic work environments, right? And systematic oppression. How does these aspects contribute to the broader narrative of Black women achieving freedom and well-being?
I think, yeah, the first thing, like the fact that I named my business like Free Black Woman Virtual Solutions, when I launched it, because I was in the midst of transitioning out of a toxic work environment, right? So realizing that options exist that didn't exist previously for us to get free of these, by creating our own businesses. And I have to shout out Exodus Summit, because I think it was
Yeah.
Exodus Summit 2022, Move
Okay.
Abroad Money, that really opened my eyes to all the possibilities that exist in online business, which I did not know, right? I had seen people, especially Black women, doing it as solopreneurs, doing all these things, all these creative things in business, but I never knew behind the scenes what it actually looked like. And so seeing that and being able to take what I had gained in the traditional business world that tells us we still have to go to a bank and apply and jump through all these hoops to get capital to start a business, and seeing that that's not the case anymore. You can literally start a business with $0. With a lot of these platforms, they have free plans and stuff that you can use, that you can play around with, while you're even still at a 9 to 5, if you want to do that transition. But I think it's really telling ourselves, right, that we have the skill set already, taking that and using it to build something for ourselves to get free. I think that's powerful. And I think the online business world has created that opportunity for us that didn't exist before, right? Because we had all those barriers that existed with entrepreneurship, the capital gap, all of these issues that I was working on in the banking field, and just kind of hitting brick walls left and right. Those have kind of been eliminated in the online business world, those barriers.
Right.
So trying to share that message more broadly, that entrepreneurship is a lot easier than it was in the past, and Black women deserve to be at the forefront of that movement.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Exodus Summit. Yeah. Shout out to Stephanie Perry and the crew. Had Stephanie on, if you guys didn't watch that video.
Yes.
Most definitely. The things you don't know until people share, just open up your eyes, right?
It's true. Yeah. It's so true.
It's like, wow, okay. Didn't even know that has existed. I'm going to say good evening to Black Women Build Wealth. Thank you for being here, dear. Yay. Join us on a Friday night. So you touched on this some, and I'm wondering if you can expand on it. So you recently exited the toxic job in economic development, right? And okay. What prompted the shift? How does the shift from that, or the information or the experience you gained from that, tie into your commitment to supporting Black women in what you're doing now?
So in that role, I was working on pretty much some of the same issues I'm working on now, just in a different capacity.
Okay.
So getting capital to Black-owned businesses, doing technical assistance to help people with federal applications so that they can get funding for their businesses.
Okay.
So I kind of just transitioned that skill set into being a virtual assistant.
Okay.
So helping individual business owners with kind of the behind the scenes of the technical tools and all these things that can get really overwhelming because there are so many digital tools out there that exist. But yeah, the technical assistance side, I still do.
Okay.
Still helping Black people, Black women specifically, grow businesses using the knowledge I've gained in the business world, in the banking world, right? Being behind the scenes and
Okay.
sharing that with my community now. I feel that that's one of my values. That's one of my core values.
Mm-hmm.
And just hoping to continue to share that knowledge, and just put out the idea out there that it's not as hard as it was in the past to be an entrepreneur and to pursue your dreams, um, and to get out of toxic work environments by taking your passion and turning it into a way to have an income source. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. I'm so sorry.
It does. It does. You are absolutely
Okay.
wonderful. Yes. And which
Okay.
leads me to my next question. So thank you for bringing that up. So can
Hmm.
you share more about how you're building digital businesses in specific? And correct me if I'm wrong.
Hmm.
We're talking about digital businesses. So what role do you see that the entrepreneurship play in the empowerment of Black women in the digital space? You talked about the digital space and why that one in specific. There's others, right? That they
Hmm.
can do, but why necessarily digital?
I think it's the capital aspect for me. So working on um, those issues of getting capital to Black-owned businesses in a in the banking world, seeing how difficult that was, and then attending Exodus Summit and seeing you don't even need capital to start a business anymore. So that's huge. That's huge, and I think that's something that's often overlooked. So there's that facet of it. And I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
No, no, okay. So we were talking about digital businesses and
Yeah.
empowering Black women into entrepreneurship. So I was asking about why the digital space. There's other
Yeah.
obviously
Hmm.
entrepreneurship opportunities that Black women could take or partake of, but you specialize in particular with the digital. And could
Yeah.
you expand on that? That seems to be, from what I'm hearing you say, is a low entry point, so to speak. You don't have to have a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
true.
capital.
That's
You don't
true. Yep.
you don't have to go to a bank for a loan to start
Yes.
a
That is so
digital
important.
business.
Yes. Yeah. And I think also the creativity aspect, right? So there
Mm,
are so many tools out there. Like if you're an artist, if you build stuff, if you create stuff, there are different ways, different tools that you can use. It's almost like a puzzle that you put together,
mhm.
um, to create a business. And you don't have to have inventory and all these things that have been barriers in the past, right? You can do something like drop shipping on Shopify, not touch any inventory, so you don't have to have that investment, and
Right.
just watch your sales go through, right, as you build your audience.
Hmm.
And also kind of like the location freedom too. So you don't have to stay in one place. I know a lot of us have dreams of traveling, right? Traveling the world, going somewhere different from where we are now.
Right.
And having an online business allows you to do that. So there's a bunch of like aspects of freedom, right? Pursuing creativity, travel, location independence, not having to have inventory and tied down to one physical place. And also the capital barrier no longer exists as well.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And no commuting.
Oh yeah, that part. Yes.
When you have your own and you can pick up and go wherever you choose to, that is bliss. Okay. Be it,
Yes.
wherever you like to go, the park, whatever the case
Mm-hmm.
might be. And I absolutely love that idea. And like you mentioned, I think you had put out some statistics before
Mm-hmm.
about um, we tend to finance our own businesses more, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And
Yep,
so when we do that, having a virtual business, and it doesn't require a lot of startup costs, right?
that's
So
true. Yeah.
that's advantageous of itself. And what was the percentage, if you remember, I'm talking about the percentage of us who,
Mm.
fund our own businesses? Is it Black women, or is it Black community in general?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I know it's a large portion, like the majority. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, taking that into account, right? The startup cost, again, very low or zero to go with an idea. And that's the thing also about online business. It kind of gives you like wiggle room for you to experiment with. Since you don't have to have an initial investment, you can kind of play around and see what interests you, see what you like to do, try out different business ideas. Maybe if writing is a passion of yours, pursue that. If it doesn't feel good, you can pursue something else. You don't have to stay so attached to one idea with this as well. And also something I thought of is you get to work with who you want to work with a lot of the time, especially as a virtual assistant. The way that you craft your messaging to attract your target audience brings in your people.
Right.
So you kind of like don't have to work with people that you don't align with, which is huge, right? Because that's the case that the barrier that we run up against in toxic work environments, right? Working with people who don't align with our values, who don't value us. And so being able to take that into our own hands and create our own client base, I think is huge, huge advantage of online business. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. And having taken, you know who I'm talking about, Nomad somethings.
Oh yeah, digital nomad kit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or, looking into the idea of being a virtual assistant, that was one of the things that was prominent for me. It's like you get to select who you would like to work with.
It's true. Yeah.
That is
I know
a
that was such a new concept to me.
right. I was
Yeah.
like, well, who would I want to work with? As opposed to when you're applying for a job or you're going for a specific space or place, you just have to accept who's there.
That's true.
Good, bad, or indifferent, and then hope for the best, right?
That's so true. Yeah. It kind of puts the power back in your hands too, right? To decide who you want to work with, who fits best with you. Like you said, instead of interviewing for a job, the power's in their hands to decide if they want to accept you. It's like taking that back, like, no, I'm going to decide who I want to work with. Because I have the skill set, I have everything that I need. And that's so empowering to me.
It
taking
is.
that route. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in the words of one of my other fellow social work sisters, she said, I get pick, choose, and refuse. Who I
Yes.
work with. I love it.
Yeah. That's
So,
true. Yes.
excellent feeling. Which, and you talked about the toxic work environments. I want to bring that back again. So unfortunately, toxic work environments are unfortunately common, right? We know that. How do you guide Black women in healing from such experiences in the space that you provided? And what strategies would you recommend for navigating systematic oppression?
I think so. The first part, I think sharing stories openly, right? Creating a safe space where people feel that they can share what they've been through. Because a lot of the times we feel very isolated in these toxic work environments. I know that was the case for me. Had it not been for watching Dr. Kamani's channel and being in her chat, I don't think I ever would have known that there were other people, other Black women experiencing what I was experiencing, because it felt so isolating, right? And being in the chat and seeing everyone share their stories, like, this happened to me too. I'm like, okay. So once you see that, you're able to craft a pattern, which is so key in being able to identify when oppression is happening. The more of us who see stories of what we're experiencing and we're able to put the puzzle pieces together, like, okay, this is something that's happening on a much larger scale because so many of us have been affected, so you feel less alone.
Yes.
which is huge in healing. Yeah, so creating safe spaces to share, sharing resources, things that I wish I had known, right? So negotiating like a severance package before you leave.
Okay.
I've had Jackie Abram on my channel a couple
Okay.
times, but she helps people negotiate that right before you leave, so that you have at least some money to be able to heal
Okay.
before you have to enter into another job or start your business. You already have like a lump sum that they give you because of what you've experienced at that job. And if you've documented, which is huge, that's one of the tips that she shares, like document from day one every time you start a job, so that if you wind up in this situation, which so many of us do, you have the information to negotiate a severance package so that you have time to heal in between jobs. So yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I'm trying to think of anything else. Sharing stories, sharing openly, kind of eliminating the shame with that too. Because a lot of the times we'll carry shame, feeling like it's something that we did, right? Self-gaslighting. And really it's a systemic issue. This is a systemic issue that we've seen Black women share their stories. We've seen this is a life and death situation sometimes, right?
Yes.
Experiencing toxic workplaces. So the more that we can eliminate that stigma, share what we've been through, share resources, knowledge, support each other, I think it's huge in being able to push back against this, because we deserve so much better than this.
Right. And you said something important about not feeling like you're alone, right? And
yeah.
That piece, that part is so comforting, you know, just like, wow, okay. And then it helps you not to feel like, okay, I'm not crazy, for lack of a better word, right?
It's true. Yeah.
I'm not crazy. This is not healthy.
Yes.
You know, this is not healthy, and I'm not crazy, and I need to do something. I don't have to sit here and take this, and I can make plans to move on, right?
That's crucial. And feeling like you have the agency to do that, right? The more of us share, the less alone we feel. And then we're also learning from people who have exited, who are sharing their plans. So we know that we can also take action. We don't just have to sit and experience mistreatment and bullying day after day and have it break our spirits. We have agency and we have the power to exit. And as we share knowledge and resources with each other, that's huge. And being able to craft those exit plans. I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be it what those exit plans look like. It might be starting your own. It might be going someplace different. It could getting your I'm out money.
Yes, it's true.
I've heard it said other ways, and I'm trying to keep it PG-13. But yes. So I get it, all of that, in supporting one another, and to be able to do that, and that's where the healing starts. So I thank you for what you're doing in that space. And you mentioned your channel. If all of you who's watching who haven't subscribed to Marissa's channel, your MPriceMSW, right, on YouTube?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So make sure you check out her channel. So getting back to what you just mentioned about that mental health, right? Given your background in mental health, how do you, or if you do, integrate mental health support in the work that you do with Black women? And why is it crucial in their journey to freedom and well-being?
So I think, integrating it into business, right? Because a lot of us, even talking about things like the fear of being seen, which I know that a lot of us talk about in the community that I have, right? The fear of even putting yourself out there is huge. The anxiety around that. So entrepreneurship, the way that it was taught to me, is very like, you have to be bold, pitch your stuff, all these ideas. Okay, a lot of us are taught to shrink as Black women. So we already have that barrier. Again, all these barriers that exist. So being able to talk about these issues openly and realizing that we may have to come at entrepreneurship from a different angle, and it may require some deeper internal work and unlearning to even get to the point of being able to share your ideas with people,
Mm-hmm.
because the trauma that we have experienced is so real, right? Left and right,
Mm-hmm.
being told to shrink, being told that we're not enough, being told that our ideas are stupid, all of these things. And yet entrepreneurship requires you to do all these things that you have been ridiculed for maybe in the past, that you have trauma around. So it's a lot of deeper unlearning that I don't think is really talked about, to even get to that point of being able to pitch your business to other people, to being able to tell people what you're doing, what you're creating, putting it out there. There's a lot of deeper layers because we've experienced trauma after trauma after trauma. And so incorporating an understanding of mental health into business, especially for Black women, is critical, because we have different challenges that we're facing as entrepreneurs.
Right.
But yeah, we still deserve to be in the arena. We just have to have an understanding that because of systemic oppression, we're dealing with so much more than a lot of other people who become entrepreneurs. So yeah.
And you made a point where I think it was one of your posts where you were talking about that self-promotion piece, right?
Oh yes.
And even self-promotion. Even self-promotion for Marissa, y'all. And so
yes.
And you're out here and you're doing the things, but that was a process. You didn't just all of a sudden become MPriceMSW on YouTube and doing all the things. That was a process for you to get to that point, right?
Oh yes. I'm still in that process. Yep. And I think it's only being in Alicia Renice's community, The Garden,
yes,
and being surrounded by other Black women going through these same things, that I've been able to kind of put stuff out there, and not overanalyze it, which I had a tendency to do in the past, like get stuck in perfectionist mode, and that kind of delays the process. In an entrepreneurship, you really just have to put stuff out there. Right? It can't be perfect. It won't be perfect. And you have to be able to sit with that discomfort and still move forward and continue to put yourself out there. So being in a community with other Black women experiencing these issues, realizing that I'm not alone in this. And self-promotion is so incredibly difficult for me because all the messages I received to shrink my entire life. So it's, being around other people who are going through that too, and realizing it's never going to get to a place where it's perfect, and you still have to put it out there. You still have to trust that what you're creating, what you're offering people is of value, and your people will get it. I think that's the importance too of marketing to your target audience. They will get it. Your people will get it, and not worrying about the people who don't, because they're not your target audience.
Yeah. Exactly. You're not here to do and please everybody, right?
That's right. That's right.
You want to attract the people who are going to be attracted to you, irregardless, right?
Yeah, that's true.
The ones that they resonate with you and vice versa. So you don't have to worry about that. But it's interesting that you say you're still in the process, and I can relate to that for sure. And just being in business myself is. Sometimes I have to work up the courage to say, well, I do this, or based on the conversation, and not feeling like you're boasting or trying to just trying to just quote unquote sell somebody. It's like, no, I offer value, I offer these services, and I want to share, right? And aside from being in business, I always say social work. You've heard me say this before, Marissa. Social work is sharing wisdom, right?
Yes.
It's awesome. So if you have some wisdom and talents and things that you do in your business, why not shout it out and let people know and let us support you, right?
That's true. Yeah. And people actually need the value that we're bringing, right? So it's first like recognizing the value in yourself first, and then realizing that other people need it too. So it's not like you trying to sell someone something. Like, no, they need it. They're actively seeking it. Your people are seeking what you're creating. And it's so reframing that. I think another social work concept, like reframing, what you're doing as providing value to people in your target audience, and they're seeking the services that you're offering. You're not forcing anyone to buy anything, right? You're simply sharing your gifts as they're meant to be shared with other people, as an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And as an entrepreneur, I'm gonna ask you a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong. You offer workshop facilitations, correct? Or you still doing that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's part of tapping back into my social work skill set.
Okay.
Having facilitated some workshops in graduate school. I also was in graduate school during the start of the panorama too. So there was that. So my education kind of got shifted virtually, but I did have the opportunity to facilitate some workshops in graduate school, and kind of tapping back into that skill set through stuff I've been offering, like prioritizing our pleasure, which is a workshop I just hosted a few weeks ago for Valentine's Day. So it's slowly like peeling back the layers that I've accumulated being in a toxic job, feeling like I didn't have any skills anymore. Like I was at that place, and realizing, like, coming back to the stuff that I've learned, the information that I've gained, the skills that I have. And facilitating workshops is one of those skills that I'm tapping back into now.
Awesome. And you have a workshop coming up, don't you? I think it's a couple of months away. It is in the same realm.
The Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women that I'm collaborating with Dr. Kamani on. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What will be covered in that then?
So this will provide Black women with practical healing strategies and tools to be able to identify that you're in a toxic work environment first, start the healing process through various means, like sleeping, tapping back into your creativity, detoxing from a toxic job, and then transitioning into building your exit plan out, right? So creating your business, getting your finances together, all of the practical tools, turning your passion into a side hustle and then a business. That's going to be one of the sessions. So really practical healing tips and strategies to exit is what we're going to be talking about at the summit on May 18th and 19th. So yes.
Awesome. Well, you have to give me that information. We're going to drop that information in the description for everybody to have. So share with others who could benefit from attending, right? Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to say hi to some more of our audience. Tea Time Beauty. I made it. Good evening, ladies. Yes, you did. Welcome, sister.
Hi.
I think Black Women Build Wealth was saying hi to her.
Yes.
Tea Time Beauty says, yes, I can be a witness to the feeling of security and safety Marissa creates as she facilitates complex topics. Oh, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And that is so helpful and so beneficial, particularly when you're in a space that you're in unfamiliar territory.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And being in I'm just going to take virtual business, for example, whatever it is. And you mentioned about using the tools and all the things that may come with being a VA, for example. It's like, well, how do I, build people? How do I, schedule people? How do I, doing all the things and having that space where you feel comfortable to ask those questions. And like you said, and not feel like, I don't want to seem like I should have it all together, but
yes,
when you wrap your arms around each other and say, we got you, we'll walk you through this,
That is so important. Yeah, because there are so many tools that exist, right? And new ones are being created every day in the online business world, because this is relatively new to be able to do this. So there's absolutely no pressure to know anything. No question too simple. It's like we're all learning this together. We're all kind of building the boat as we're sailing. And that's why it's important to learn from each other as we're doing this, so that we can share knowledge, share resources, information that we've gained, what's worked well, what hasn't, so that we don't have to spend time kind of turning our wheels in isolation. We can share with each other. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And so could you share where they can find your community? Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called Free Black Women Entrepreneurs, and it is a private online group where we share like weekday tips, strategies, uploads of tools, demos on online business tools, as well as a monthly support call where we walk through like practical issues that you're having with businesses, with tools and stuff like that, technical rather. And then the deeper aspects of mental health, right? So the fear of being seen, putting yourself out there, self promotion, all of these deeper issues that we're kind of experiencing as entrepreneurs, healing from traumatic experiences while trying to build businesses and put ourselves out there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful community. We'll put information about that in the description as well. Share with other sisters who are, you might hear them complaining about their toxic jobs and they're looking for solutions to get out, y'all.
Yeah.
Joining the community to support them and making them feel like, you know what, you can do this. You
You
can do
can.
this.
Yeah, it's
You,
possible. And we're here to support you. You don't have to do it alone. That's kind of one of the values of my business, too. You don't have to do it alone. The pressure to do that in entrepreneurship in the business space traditionally has been to go it alone, right? We know that the society is very individualistic, but we're pushing back on that, collaborating over being in competition with each other, sharing these things so that we can grow together
yeah.
exponentially. Yeah.
Wonderful. And
Yeah.
you left out something, Marissa, in your Tea Time Beauty says, and we have fun while we do it. So you didn't listen to the fun part.
Thank you. Yes.
She said, and what better way? It sounds like y'all have a lot of laughs and
Yes.
just enjoy one another.
We do. A lot of laughs, a lot of gifts, a lot of emojis. Yes, we do have fun. A lot of fun in there.
So Tea Time Beauty, thank you for spilling the tea, so to speak, about y'all having fun too. Because Marissa left that part out.
Yes.
Oh,
thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. So, looking ahead, and anybody in the chat who have any questions, who have any more questions or any comments about business that you started, are starting, might have some questions about a virtual business or online business, feel free to type those in the chat. But moving to my next question for you, looking ahead, what do you see as your vision for your impact that you will have on the lives of Black women through the work that you do and making history?
I think continuing to share knowledge and resources, whether that's in mental health. So talking about, I did a video recently on Black girl depression, right? These issues conversations that were often left out of when it comes to mental health. Talking about things like anxiety and depression openly, so that it eliminates the stigma and the shame, which is what I'm always trying to do, so that we can be more of our authentic selves with each other in safe spaces. So continuing to do that, sharing knowledge about the ease of starting an online business versus how business is traditionally talked about.
Okay.
Using the knowledge and skill set that I've gained. And yeah, the banking field was not very kind to me as a Black woman, which I know is probably the case for a lot of Black women in banking, finance, business. But realizing that I still have the skill set to be able to share with people. So yeah, I hope that is part of my legacy. Did we lose Danny? Oh no. But yeah, continuing to share, continuing to. Okay.
I didn't want to lose us. I needed to plug in some power, y'all. I was like, ooh.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Continuing to support in any way that I can, using, again, skills that I have, any way that I can assist in contributing to people who are building businesses, healing from toxic work environments, being open about my own story, so that other people feel maybe more comfortable sharing what they've been through and less alone, because it is so very isolating. And I think like the work that Dr. Kamani, Colette Elizabeth have done around just openly sharing what they've been through has kind of paved the way for me to be able to do this. And even more of us sharing what we've been through, sharing the struggles we went through in the workplace, because we know that when we enter, we're often unprepared for the treatment that we will experience in the workplace. So even having like a plan of action before you enter, I would love to do that for younger Black women who are entering the workforce, so that they have a plan of action. They're prepared when they encounter hostility and abuse in the workplace. They've already started documenting from day one, so that they can negotiate a severance package and then move on to an opportunity that better fits them in a space that values them. Or entrepreneurship, right? Just getting out of that toxic environment, because that will eat away at you. And we deserve so much better than that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I'm going to get to this question. We're going to answer this one. I had another follow-up question to that. She said, question, Black women build wealth. You may have touched on this already, but are they specific challenges that Black women face when they start online businesses, and how to deal with that?
Yeah, so I think one of the things, that I touched on is like, I think the fear of being seen, of putting yourself out there, putting your ideas out there, if they're not in a place where you think it's perfect. And we know that perfect is like a mirage, right? It's never going to be perfect. So you just have to put it out there and trust in the idea, right? Alicia Renee says this all the time. The idea trusts you. If it's with you, it trusts you. So you have to move forward with that understanding. Put it out there. A lot of entrepreneurship is experimenting, seeing what works, right? Not taking so much of like a seriousness to everything, which I feel like we're taught to do often, right? It has to be very serious and very like by the book, kind of releasing yourself of all of that, getting back into playing, putting ideas out there, right? Experimenting, seeing if your target audience responds to something, or if they don't, and realizing that does not reflect on you, not internalizing that as something's wrong with me, I never want to try again, just viewing that as part of the game of entrepreneurship, trying and see what works. The other thing I think is the amount of digital tools that exist out there can be overwhelming for a lot of people. So I think sticking to the basics, and this is something Rashida shared at Exodus Summit 2022, it's like, all you really need is an email list, a way to communicate. It can be Gmail. It doesn't even have to be on like an email platform like ConvertKit or MailChimp or anything like that. It can be Gmail to start with, starting with the basics, as basic as possible. So you can have like a payment processor for free, PayPal or Stripe, a way to communicate, and then telling people what you're doing.
All right.
Keeping it as simple as possible and not taking on so many startup costs, which we're trying to get away from, because some of these tools, if you do go on like the premium version, they can add up really quickly. And that doesn't really give you the time and space you need to kind of play around and see what works. So keeping things as simple as possible too.
Yeah, because you can go into subscription debt, that's for sure. Subscribe You're like, oh goodness,
That's true. Yes, that is so true.
Thank you for that question, Black Women Build Wealth. Hopefully that answers your question, dear. I want to get back to something you said about touching the younger Black women.
Yeah.
Right? What would you tell your younger Black self about entering business or entering the workplace? What would you have wanted to know before you entered into the workplace? So maybe some mistakes that you made, some alliances you shouldn't have done, or some thought processes that your more mature self is saying, oh, let me share this with my younger sister so they don't have to go through this, and be mindful of, what may come, navigating the work world.
I think I would say a lot of these workplaces, unfortunately, don't care about you, right? They don't see you as a full person. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but I wish I would have known that going in, realizing that it's just a paycheck. It's just a paycheck. And sometimes you have to view a job as that, right? A lot of us will tie our jobs and our roles to our identity. So then when something goes awry at a job, when you're experiencing toxicity, when someone's targeting you, your identity takes a hit, which can lead to that spiral in depression, and even worse impacts than that, right? So it's detaching your identity from what you do and realizing that no matter what role you have, no matter where you work, no matter what degrees you have or don't have, you are you, and you are worthy outside of all of these things. I wish I would have known that. And also, like, the external validation that we're taught to seek all the time through degrees, through certifications, right? Constantly pursuing these things. It's a lot. And I wish I would have known I didn't need any of that to be valuable. I was already valuable. I think constantly pursuing these things in these environments that were harmful, deeply harmful to me, being the only one in a lot of business classes, internships, set me up to be harmed in so many ways, right? Isolation is a tactic of bullies, and they will try to get you by yourself to inflict more harm on you. And that is something I wish I would have been prepared for, entering into these spaces and realizing that, yeah, I have tools. If that does happen, I have agency and I can put a plan together to address it. I don't just have to sit there and take it. I think that would be something I would share with my younger self.
Right. And I'm so glad you said that, because when you're entering, if you don't have anybody to talk to when you're first entering the work world, and you don't know what to expect from the environment that you're in, you just sort of try to get in to fit in.
Yeah.
So to speak, but maybe don't know who to talk to and not talk to, or how to navigate, things that might be going on. It can be intimidating.
It can. It really can. Yeah.
So I totally get that. And Black Women Build Wealth says that external validation aspect is a dream killer.
Yes. Ooh. Yep. Yep.
Wow. Yes, most definitely. Thank you for that comment. And Tea Time Beauty, she's saying, yes, Marissa, your community has helped me build upon my new relationships I've built this year. Marissa gives us permission to start even with a simple idea and gain help and tools along the way. Oh, see, Marissa, you're planting seeds for whom generations you'll never know about.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
You never know. Be a Tea Time Beauty, somebody that she touches, and so on and so on. So thank you for sharing that, Tea Time Beauty. I wholeheartedly agree with you about what Marissa is doing and the community that she's building, and helping us as Black women to pivot if we need to, and do something maybe outside the scope of what we think is possible.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be the traditional route.
No, you have so many options that exist. And I think also, like, not relying on other people around you to get what you're doing is so key, because not everyone around you is going to get it, right? It's only being in spaces like these that other people are getting what I'm doing, supporting me, and not looking at me like, you're doing what? You're going where?
Right.
Because everyone's doing it. So it's getting around other people who have similar dreams to you, and are pursuing similar passions and stuff like that, so that you don't feel so alone on this journey.
Absolutely. And I love the Tea Time Beauty says, giving the permission. And sometimes we just need that nudge, so to speak, like, okay, I can just do this.
That's so true.
I don't have to form a committee or take a vote or get it.
No, you can give yourself. Yep. Give yourself permission.
To do the things that have been placed on your heart to do, and come up and shine your light and be the most best you can be, your authentic self, right?
Yes.
So even when you're building your own, being your authentic self, how does that play a role And when you're building your business, when you're being your authentic
Ooh,
self, you
that's
know.
key. That's key. Because in order to attract your people, your target audience, you have to be authentically you to attract the right people. But getting to that place, because a lot of us don't know who we are, right? We've been in these environments that have told us that something's wrong with us our entire life. So even getting to that point of understanding who you are is a lot of work sometimes, getting to that. But it's crucial to be able to attract your people in business, to be able to be in the spaces that you want to be in, create from an authentic place, your products, your offerings, your services, all these things. It's so critical. But that requires a lot of unlearning, a lot of healing, often from the messaging that you've received that your authentic self isn't enough, because you've always been enough.
I love that. Yes, I am enough. All right.
Yes. Yes.
And you have to tell yourself that, be it
You
through
do.
conversations, through affirmations, whatever it is that you do, you know, being able to say, I'm enough. That I don't
That's
need
it.
to
Yeah.
put on the big hat and the clown shoes in order to.
No. No. Just as you are. Just as you are, you're enough. Yeah.
Love that. I thank you for those comments. And Yvette Boom, hello, beautifuls. Hello, beautiful you, and another wonderful YouTuber. I want to shout out to my YouTubers in the audience: Yvette Boone and Black
Yeah.
Women Build Wealth and Tea Time Beauty. H&D Abroad.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us to check out their channels and what have you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So, what would you want to leave our audience with? I know you have some upcoming events, right? And outside of I want to touch on this. You talk on subjects that are, I consider, deep. Like you got a live that's coming up tomorrow. Is it?
Oh,
No,
next week.
next
Yeah, next
Friday.
Thursday.
When you talk about Frederick, is it Frederick Douglass? Correct me. What
Du Bois, W.B. Du Bois,
Thank
and
you.
the Talented 10th. Yeah.
Yes. And so tell us about that. What inspired you to want to do that?
So this is drawing on my background in African American studies. This is something that's been actually sitting with me for years. And I recently wrote an article on Substack around like my trauma from African American studies, right? Dealing with really sexism and misogyny in the field, being groomed as a student in African American studies, and really reclaiming that part of myself, reclaiming my skill set, the knowledge base that I have now as an adult at 30. So this is an idea that I've been sitting on, and really YouTube has given me the space in the community to be able to share ideas that I've had like this for so long. Wow. But yeah, Du Bois is an interesting historical figure. A lot of his work I identify with, I use to understand issues. But this is one of the things, like the Talented 10th, drawing into how Black excellence harms us so often. So I'll be touching on that in my live next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, kind of deconstructing his idea, his theory, and why I disagree with a lot of the points that he raised, kind of taking a critical analysis to a historical text.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. You take a lot of historical text and you put your spin on it. You give your opinion about it and shares how it contributes to our oppression. So I love that. I absolutely love that. I was like, ooh, she's touching on another deep one. This should be
yes.
So you're not only supporting Black women, you're supporting the Black community with your topics, and you know, get us to thinking about, you know, things that we've been programmed, right?
It's true. Yes. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I want to welcome some more of our guests in the house. Enough by MPriceMSW. Hi.
Marissa. Hey.
Marissa showing up authentically has absolutely given me a roadmap to follow on how to show up authentically. I am so incredibly grateful for her example in that area. Oh, that is so precious.
Thank you.
So you're doing your job. You showing up your authentic self, and it gives other people permission to be their authentic selves, and your light shines through.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that comment. That's wonderful. Yvette Boone says, I use I am enough affirmations as my password to constantly remind myself to remember my value. Mm, all right. I love it. I
Yes, I love
absolutely
it.
love it. I like that idea. I put mine on the mirror, Yvette Boone.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Mirror in
I'm
my
gonna have to try
bathroom.
that.
One of those erasable markers because it'll erase off or what have you.
Yeah, yeah.
And any and all affirmations I want to remember or things that I just want to see every day because you're going to go to the bathroom every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I walk in, I'm reminded. I might read one affirmation here, read it there. Even if I'm just in passing, it absorbs you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a part of you. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes, thank
Wonderful
you.
idea. I love these conversations, and we love you being a part of these
Oh,
conversations. So thank you, sweetheart.
yeah.
Let's
Yes.
see. Tea Time Beauty says, I appreciate Marissa's ability to show her critical thought skills. Yes, don't she do that,
Oh.
y'all? It encouraged me to think with more curiosity. I love the way you put
Oh.
that. Absolutely, just what I was just talking about, her topics that outside of Black women in business. Marissa be getting into it, y'all, deep. I hadn't even. I was like, oh yeah, what about that? What should I be thinking about that particular topic and how I am today, or how it shows up in my life? So I thoroughly enjoy Marissa for doing that. Get me to thinking. I'm like, okay. Absolutely. Thank you for that comment. I'm seeing Tea Time Beauty adds, I wrote, I am worthy
Oh, yay.
on my bathroom mirror in a whiteboard marker. I've done that too, Tea Time Beauty, just right on the mirror though.
Yes. I love that.
Yes,
Mhm.
I am worthy.
Yes.
Isn't that something?
Always.
Yes. And the fact that you had to learn that, or you had to
Mm-hmm. That's true.
incorporate that. Maybe perhaps you were in a household where you grew up where people told you that,
Right.
or validated you, or affirmed you, or built you up, but that's
Yeah.
not always the case.
It's
So
not.
we have to grow into that and feel worthy enough to say, yeah, I am worthy, I am
Yeah.
enough,
That's so
you
true.
know.
Yeah. And
So
I'll say, like, even if you had that understanding right in childhood and you go out into the world and you're met with everyone throwing that, like, you're not worthy, you're not enough, all these messages. And then once you get into adulthood, it's like you have to unlearn and take off all of that because that was never meant for you. It doesn't serve you. So, absolutely.
yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing all these ideas. You never know who you're going to inspire, right, to do the same or encourage somebody else, or the information that we have here be able to bless somebody else. I always say,
Yeah.
And just to talk about, learning those things, there's a quote by Frederick Douglass that says it's easier to build strong children. I want to think it says strong men as opposed to repair broke. I'm saying it wrong, y'all. Let's see. It's easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. I'm paraphrasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I often think about that. And he's probably, the quote I think is referring to boys, but I can extend that to young ladies as well. It's
Yeah.
easier to try to build strong children, period,
Yes.
into
Mm-hmm.
adulthood than trying to repair us, quote, so to speak, when we get older, right?
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that to say, if you have any youngsters in your life, any people that you can pour into,
Yeah.
anybody you can speak life into,
Yeah.
encouraging them, tell them how beautiful they are, tell them that they're enough, or whatever the case might be. During this season, I know I'm celebrating as Black women, but also if you can encourage somebody else in the younger generation, like you mentioned, Marissa,
Mm-hmm.
um, encourage them.
Yeah.
You never know what your word and your seed could do for them. Probably nobody
That's
ever
true.
told them that they're enough. Nobody ever told them that they're worthy.
Yes. That is so true. Yeah. And that's so key. Like, even thinking about mental health, right? The majority of our brain development occurs before, I think, the age of 9.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to reach kids in that age range, right? Telling them, affirming them, like you said, telling them they're beautiful, they're enough, they're worthy, they will go into adulthood already with that understanding, so that when they do receive those messages, they're able to block it so much easier because they have that foundation already established. Yeah.
Right. And kind of think about that. It took me, I'm just saying, for example, it took me a while to even accept compliments when I got to be older.
Me too. Yeah.
Because I was so shocked that someone would say something nice, or somebody who wasn't necessarily that I knew, intimately or friendship wise or something like that it took me a while to accept them and say, okay, yeah, I can accept that. And then, I'd be in such an awe place that I might even forget to say thank you. And then I beat myself up later and be like, did I say thank you, Danielle?
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying that to say, if you have an opportunity, like we're talking about, to plant those seeds into younger generation of Black women, we're talking about Black women in this series, or just a Black child, and period, child of color, just to, again, you never know when that one word, when that person becomes of age, I'm like, you know what, this lady so-and-so said this about me, and that from that I held on to that, and it took me far. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because there are still things that I remember right at 30 of positive affirmations that I've received as a child. So those things stick, and they're powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed you, Marissa. We could talk about this subject all night.
Yes.
But so stay tuned for, you said next Thursday you have your upcoming live.
Upcoming live. Yeah. Next Thursday on my channel at 8, talking about the problems with the idea of the talented 10th. And again, this is like W.E.B. Du Bois's idea of 10% of Black men. So that's one of the issues I identify, right? Completely leaving out Black women in the equation, but going to pursue professional degrees, certifications like that, and then bringing them back to the community. But it's only 10% labeled as talented, and we know that's 100% of us. So that's one of the issues I identify. But I'll be talking about that, Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern on my channel. I'm
gonna get to this comment. Enough by MMT says, our generation has done a great job with healing because these babies are so confident and wise, and I learned so much from this younger generation. The shift is happening, y'all. All right. Absolutely wonderful. Yes, that's great. And it's great when you can see it.
It's true. Yeah.
So awesome. So keep up the work, community.
Yes.
To have those ripples and generations to come. So again, my sister Marissa, my social work sister.
Yes.
I celebrate you this month for making history and what you're doing and showing up for Black women and the community, right? Getting us to thinking and really empowering, really empowering. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I want to give you your flowers. I don't have any flowers, but I have yay!
Yay! Thank you so much
for all all that you're doing. We're gonna stay tuned to see what you do more. I know it's gonna be fabulous, and look forward to your event. And you say in May to
the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women that I'm hosting with Dr. Kamani May 18th and 19th over that weekend. Confirmed speakers already are Stephanie Perry, Alicia Renese, Anne Marie Archer, and Dr. Roche. So who's a financial
Ooh.
psychologist. So yeah,
Oh,
excited.
awesome. We got some kudos in the chat. This was such a great conversation. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you
Oh,
for being here. You added to the conversation. Thank
you
you.
did. Thank you.
Tea Time Beauty said, that is too cute. You gotta give my pop. Gotta celebrate us somehow. Look, I started to bring one of those, what you call it, those horns that you might see again.
Oh yeah,
I said, I want my
yeah.
guests to come back. I don't want them to be like, Lord have mercy, what she doing? Black women Bill Well says, I love Danny as Pom Pom Girl.
Agreed.
Look, I was never a cheerleader in school, right? But
Yeah,
that's funny. Tea Time Beauty said, woohoo! Yeah, it's one of my favorite sayings. So don't forget to hit the like button, you guys. Yes, thank you for sharing that. If you like the conversations, please definitely like it. Give Marissa some love and share the information. We're going to put her information about her upcoming event in the chat, well, in the description, and for you to stay tuned for that. So thank you for reminding me about that. Appreciate you. I need help. Enough by MNT said all green hearts. I love it. Thank you. Yay. And Case Mobile Notary says, love this. Very informative and inspiring. Thank you, sweetheart, for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you individually and collectively from the bottom of my heart. Truly. And I look forward to more to come. And not to mention, we're forgetting our own event. We haven't put it out there yet. Right?
Oh, yeah. Coming up next, let's see, 2 weeks from today. A panel, a social work panel. Yes, on Black women social workers starting our own businesses, breaking barriers.
Yes. So look forward to that coming next month. Looking forward to celebrating with our fellow social workers and bringing value like we do, right?
Yes. Like we do.
So be on the lookout for that, everybody. I appreciate each and every one of you for spending your Friday evening with us, and have a wonderful night. And as I always say on my channel, let us continue to learn, grow, and share together naturally. And bless y'all. Love y'all. Good night as we close out and celebrate Marissa. Yay!
Oh, thank you.
Good night, y'all. Till next time, Monday. See you Monday. She said, take care, ladies. Thank you.